Hello everyone, welcome to online piano learning. If you're new to this channel, my name is Sarah. I'm a pianist and piano teacher, and this channel is for helping you learn all the musicianship skills you need in order to learn piano. Playing piano, reading music, music theory, piano technique, ear training, and much more. So feel free to subscribe if you like this kind of content and you want to learn more. Today we will be talking about good posture at the piano. Here are 5 tips that will help you develop good posture at the piano. Step 1. Position your instrument and seat. If you have an acoustic piano, you don't need to do this first step, but if you have a digital instrument, this is important because I see a lot of people buy a keyboard and they just place it on any desk in their house. It seems like a logical place to put it, but most of the time it's not the right height and it causes some problems with posture. If you have a digital instrument, I recommend you get a keyboard stand. They look like this. They're either in an X shape or a Z shape. I have a Z-shaped stand and I'll show you a picture right here. I used to have an X stand, but if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw the videos where I got so tired of it shaking, and I'll insert a little clip here. The X stand is a lot less sturdy than the Z stand, so eventually you might want to switch over to a Z stand if you didn't get one right away. The next step is to position your seat. I recommend getting a bench because it encourages good posture. You have no back of the seat to rely on for sitting up tall, and besides, even if you do choose a chair, and some pianists prefer chairs. Here's an example of Glenn Gould's playing on his super low chair. I don't recommend this for everyone, but maybe if you prefer a chair, make sure that you're still sitting up nice and tall on the chair. Positioning your seat is very important because a lot of the time people don't think about the height and they end up either slouched over or they're reaching for the keys. Position your seat so that when you're sitting in the middle of the piano, your belly button is lined up to middle C, and that should put you in a good position. If you want to reach the high notes or the low notes, instead of stretching your arms out like that, or like that, as you can tell, it's really awkward for your arms. What you should do is rotate your torso from your hips so that you're facing those notes. So either you're facing the high notes or you could be facing the low notes, and then you want to lean over. So for example, right here, I'm reaching for this side of the keys. And you see how I'm positioning my arms so that they are behind my hands. I can also do the same thing on the other side, just like this. A lot of people slide over on their bench, and that's not the correct thing to do. Imagine you have a performance, and then you have some high notes and then some low notes. You do not have time to slide over to those notes. Step 3 is to determine the distance of your seat. The distance of your seat will highly depend on your height and your overall body shape. For example, someone with long legs may need to sit further back, and if you have short legs, you might want to sit a bit closer. The same thing with your arms. You're going to want to have a 90-degree angle of your arms. So if I'm sitting, I want to have approximately this angle at the piano. See how it's slightly over 90 degrees. I do not want this, and I do not want to be reaching all the way. You see how when I do this, what happens, and a lot of people get too comfy, they tuck their chair into their desk when they get their keyboard. What happens here is that my fingers could move, but my arm is disconnected from my fingers. So you see why that can be a problem. Another thing about distance is that you want to make sure that your elbows are nice and relaxed. So you don't want your elbows to be glued to your body, and you don't want them to be out like this either. That will cause a lot of fatigue in your upper arm, and you do not want that. Eventually, it might cause problems like elbow injuries or forearm injuries, and that is not what we want to associate with music. So make sure your elbows are nice and relaxed, not like this and not too far out. An overall rule is that you want to keep your arm behind your hand because then your arm is supporting your hand. Compared to if I'm trying to play like this, you see I didn't move my body over. So what happens is that my fingers do not have the support of my arm. Now, step 4 is to adjust the height of your seat. If you're lucky, you have an adjustable bench at home, which you can adjust to go higher or lower and figure out the exact height that's perfect for your body. If you don't have an adjustable bench, we still want that 90 or a little bit over 90-degree angle at the piano. We don't want your hands too low, or you don't want to be reaching down to the keys. So in order to get that angle, what you're going to do is you're going to take whatever seat you do have and you're going to pile up some books on it or some blankets, some pillows, whatever you can find. Using that, you're going to try to find a height that's good for you and gets that perfect elbow angle. If your bench or chair was too high to begin with, search your house for a lower chair and repeat that process. Everyone's body is different, so make sure that you really listen to your body and try to find a relaxed, comfortable position. After hours of practicing in the wrong position, you will definitely experience some discomfort, and that's not recommended. Finally, step 5 is posture. So I already mentioned that you have to keep your back straight, and you want to make sure that you're not curving your back too much, but make sure that your back is also not slouching, and try to find something in between. Everyone has posture habits in their day-to-day life that they carry over to the piano, and you want to make sure you work on that while you're at the piano and away from the piano. The second thing is that you want to have your legs down and planted on the floor. Even though sitting cross-legged is comfy, it's not ideal for piano playing. Not just because we want to have good posture, but we actually need to ground our feet to the floor in order to use our body weight at the piano. If you just rely on your fingers all the time, you're going to notice that they're going to get tired and you're going to run out of technique. For children who are not tall enough to have their feet planted on the floor, what I recommend is you put a box under their feet so that they can still be grounded. Now, since we were talking about feet, let's quickly talk about pedaling. At the piano, we have 3 pedals, and you might only have 1 pedal at your piano. If you have only one, this is the one I'm talking about, the damper pedal, the one that makes every note long and flowy. That's the pedal we use most often. So if you're playing a piece that uses this pedal, you're going to place your right foot on the pedal from the beginning of the piece, so you don't have to move your foot around throughout the piece. When you're using the pedal, make sure that your heel is grounded and that you're only using the tip of your toes to play with the pedal. A lot of people try to stomp their whole foot on the pedal, or they lift their whole foot up and down, including their leg, and that is not necessary. So we just want to tap the pedal very lightly with our foot. Now, last but not least, we have our hand position to worry about. Now, you'll see in different books you have different images of different hand positions, and here's what I recommend. You may have seen a lot of images in books like this, and I think this is too curled. So your fingers, if you lift your fingers like this, you're going to notice that you're disconnecting your fingers from your arm, and that is going to cause fatigue in your fingers, and it's limited. What you want to do is to relax your fingertips so they're not completely flat like a pancake, but they're more curved and relaxed on this part of the finger. Then you also want to watch your knuckles. So you want to make sure all your knuckles are nice and tall, and this is called the bridge of our hand position. So one common problem that especially adults face when they're learning to play piano, I notice a lot of people, they tilt their hand and it falls towards the pinky joint. So what you want to try to do is rotate your arm towards your thumb, and you're going to notice your elbow might move, because if your elbow is squished to your body, you're probably too close to the pinky side. You want to rotate and have all the knuckles up and nice and strong. Well, that is it for the posture tips I have for you. I know I went into a lot of detail, but this is very important for your day-to-day practicing. For those of you that have an office job or you sit a lot, you know that if you don't have good posture, you will definitely start to have aches and pains after hours of working. The same thing with practicing. If we don't have good posture, we will start to feel it afterwards. So I encourage you to adapt these tips into your practicing. If you tried to use these tips to adjust your posture at the piano, I would love to see how you're doing. If you have Instagram, tag me at Sara Nikolic Pianist. If you have any questions about posture or you'd like me to talk more in detail about arm technique, hand position, which I will do so very soon, let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.